There are lots of things all around us, exciting things that surround us.
But how does it work?
Do you know?
How is it made?
Do you know? Things that go up, things that go down, things that go pop, things that go round, with special cameras to show you inside. It's going to be a big surprise.
But how does it work?
Do you know?
How is it made?
Do you know? Do you know?
Let's find out!
Hello, I'm Maddie. Today I've got some things I want to recycle, so I've come to the recycling bins. There are lots of things we can recycle, like these old plastic bottles, paper and cardboard, and glass, like this glass jar that had jam in it. But what happens to glass when it's been put in the glass recycling? And how does an old jam jar get turned into something new? Do you know how glass recycling works? Let's find out. How does it work?
Glass recycling.
To find out how glass recycling works, I've come here to a gigantic glass recycling factory. Glass is collected from recycling bins by big lorries like this one here, and it's all dropped off here at the yard. Listen to all the glass falling out of the recycling lorry. In the yard, there are 3 huge storage bays. 1, 2, 3. And together, they can hold around 3,000 tons of glass. That's the same weight as 157 double-decker buses. The glass is picked up from the storage bays by big diggers. Isn't that amazing? The digger tips the glass into that giant bin. It's called a hopper. There it goes! The hopper is connected to a conveyor belt. Not everything that arrives at the glass recycling factory is glass. There are other things that get muddled up with the glass too, like metal, plastic, stone, dirt and rubbish. We call these things contaminants, and it's the job of the glass recycling factory to separate the contaminants from the glass. Let's find out how they do it. Whoa! This is called a screen. Can you see it's made of lots of metal rods with gaps in between? And it works a bit like a sieve. When it jiggles around, all of the small pieces fall through onto a conveyor belt below, and the big bits keep on going down that chute. All of the big bits drop into this machine. It's called a crusher. And inside, everything is crushed, so it's the same size as the smaller pieces. All the glass and contaminants come back together here. Can you see that some of the small pieces are bouncing around? This makes all the pieces move along to the next machine. This is called an extractor, and it works like a vacuum cleaner and sucks away any of those light contaminants. But it's pretty tricky to see, so I think we should film it with one of my special cameras. This camera films in slow motion, which means we can film something that happens quickly, but watch it back slowly. Whoa! And look, all of the light contaminants, like little pieces of plastic, are being sucked away, leaving the glass behind. The glass doesn't get sucked up by the extractor because it's heavier and it continues on its journey. Now the glass is almost clean of contaminants. There's just some little bits of stone, brick and ceramic, things like kitchen plates and mugs to get rid of. This is an optical sorting machine, and it gets rid of stone, brick and ceramic using its own special camera. But to find out how it works, I think we need to take a closer look.
Glass and contaminants move along a conveyor belt into the optical sorting machine. A light hits the conveyor belt so the camera can see the object. The camera takes a picture of the object and sends it to a computer. The computer can tell the size and colour of the object and whether it's glass. When the computer finds a contaminant, like stone, it sends a signal to an air jet inside the machine to blast it away. Now all that's left is the glass. Another optical sorting machine separates the glass into different colours. First, the computer looks for green glass, then sends a message to the air jets to blast it into the green bin. Once the green glass is gone, another optical sorting machine finds clear glass, called flint, and blasts it into the clear bin, leaving just the brown glass, called amber.
Wow, that was so interesting. Here's all the green glass that's been separated. It's like a waterfall.
Look, there's all the amber glass. And the clear glass too. It's called flint.
Now the glass has been cleaned and sorted, it's ready to be used again and made into something new, like a jam jar. I loved finding out about how glass recycling works. What was your favourite part?
Do you remember the name of the machine that uses light to find things that aren't glass? That's right, it's called an optical sorting machine. Did you hear the sound of the glass as it was tipped out of the big recycling lorry? And did you see how the extractor sucked all the light contaminants off the conveyor belt on my special camera? We use recycled glass in lots of different ways to make lots of different things, like glass jars. You can store lots in a glass jar, like honey, pickles, cookies, or as a special treat, you might have jam. Jam comes in lots of different flavours. Do you have a favourite? Mine is strawberry. Strawberry jam is made from strawberries. But how do strawberries or other fruit like blackberries or raspberries get turned into a thick jam you can spread on toast? Do you know how jam's made? Let's find out. How is it made?
Jam.
To find out how jam's made, I've come here to a jam factory. Today, they're making raspberry jam. Yum! Today, we're making one batch of raspberry jam, and that's about 160 jars, so we're going to need a lot of raspberries.
To make the jam, we also need sugar and lots of lemons. This is James, and it's his job to make the jam. James starts by weighing the lemons.
After the lemons are weighed, they're cut in half and squeezed to get all of the juice out, and I've been given special permission to help. So let's have a go at using this juicer. Thank you. Right, ready? Wow! The machine spins round and round, and look, can you see all of the juice flowing out of the spout here at the bottom? Lemons are really sour, and that's because they have something in them called citric acid. And it's the citric acid that gives them the sour taste. And nothing is wasted because we're going to use the lemon peel too.
Next, James weighs out the raspberries. Here, they use frozen raspberries. He also weighs out the sugar.
Now it's the fun part. We're going to heat everything up inside this, a boiling pan. Looks like a giant cake mixer, doesn't it?
At the moment, the boiling pan is switched off. First, into the boiling pan goes the raspberries.
That's a great splattering sound, isn't it?
Next, the lemon juice and the lemon peel.
The The lemon peel is really important because it's got something special in it called pectin. And when pectin heats up and mixes with the water from the frozen raspberries and the citric acid from the lemon juice, it acts a bit like a fishing net or a web, helping to catch the other ingredients. And it's what makes the mixture thick and sticky. It takes about 15 minutes for the jam to cook, so I've set up one of my special cameras to film everything. That way, we can watch it back and speed everything up. Now, you should never go close to a hot pan, but I've got special permission to show you what happens to our jam.
Can you see the ingredients spinning round and round, mixing together? Now, the sugar is added. And look, the jam is starting to cook. The boiling pan heats the ingredients to 100 degrees. That's really, really hot.
The jam mixture still looks watery and runny, doesn't it? So how does it get thick and gooey like jam? Well, the water inside the jam mixture is heated up by the boiling pan and it turns into water vapour or steam. We call this evaporation. The water is evaporating and the steam is misting up our camera.
As the water evaporates, the jam starts to get thicker. All there is to do now is take out the lemon peel.
The jam's nearly ready, but to test to find out if it's thick enough, I've got to do something called the plate test. So there's a blob of jam on the plate and it's cooled down. And if it's the right thickness, it should make little lines called wrinkles when I push it. Should we find out? Okay, let's see. And there you go, lots of little wrinkles. So this is ready. Do you know what's making those wrinkles? It's the special chemical we find in the lemon peel called pectin. The jam is ready, so it's time to put it into jam jars.
The jam is poured into here. It's called a hopper.
The hopper is cone-shaped, so the jam will go to the bottom and then flow through the tubes to this machine called a depositor. And its job is to fill the jam jars.
And just the right amount comes out each time to fill one jar.
The lids are put on the jam jars when the jam and the air around the jam is still hot. But as everything cools down, it shrinks and that leaves space inside the jar. So when we undo the lid, air can rush in and this makes the jam jar pop up and it sounds great. Listen to this. That sounds really good, doesn't it? I loved finding out how raspberry jam's made. What was your favourite bit?
Do you remember the name of the special chemical that makes the jam thick? That's right, it's called pectin. Did you hear the sound the raspberries made as they tipped into the boiling pan? And did you see the ingredients being mixed together on my special camera?
So the next time you have jam as a special treat, you'll know how it's made. And when you see a glass jar, you'll know how lots and lots of glass has been recycled to make it. I'll see you next time. Hello, I'm Maddie, and today I'm going for a jog outside. But have you noticed that different animals move in different ways? Birds flap their wings,
And fish use their fins and tail to move.
but what about animals that don't have feet, wings, or fins? Like this snail. But do you know how a snail moves? Let's find out.
How does it work?
Snails!
To find out how snails move, I've come to a snail garden. This is Chris, and it's his job to look after the snails. He's going to show us a few different types of snails so we can find out how they move. Some snails are really small, like this one. It's called a pond snail.
And that's because they live in ponds.
And some snails are really, really big, like this giant African land snail. Whoa! It's almost as big as my hand. Now, here's a snail you might have seen before. It's called a garden snail. And garden snails like to live in wet, muddy places, like this. Listen to the sound my feet make in the mud. It's really squelchy. Now, let's get a closer look at this garden snail. Snails have 4 tentacles, 2 to see with and 2 to smell with. And they have a hard, round shell.
This protects the snail's soft body.
This part of the snail is called its foot. And can you see this slimy trail? Well, that slimy stuff is called mucus, and the snail uses it to help it glide along. But how does the foot and the mucus work together to help the snail move? To find out, I think we need to take a closer look.
When a snail moves, it uses lots of muscles inside the foot to push itself along. In the foot is a gland that makes mucus. The mucus makes the surface slippy, which makes it easier for the foot to move along because there is less friction. A snail is born with a shell on its back. It's called a protoconch, and it's very soft. The shell needs calcium from food to make it strong. As the snail grows, so does the shell. The new shell pushes the old shell along and becomes harder, making a spiral. The hard shell protects the snail's body and the organs inside. The heart, the lungs, and the stomach. When the snail sees danger, it hides inside the shell and only comes out when it's safe again, before sliding along on its way. That was amazing, but now I've got something very special to show you. These are baby snails. Look at the shell, the protoconch. At the moment, the shell is still very thin. That's because the snail hasn't eaten lots of food with calcium in it yet to make the shell hard. And can you see the slippery mucus underneath the baby snail's body? When something's slippery, we say that it has less friction. A bit like this. If I rub my hands together, friction stops them from moving too quickly. But if I add some hand lotion, look, the slippery lotion makes it much easier to move them back and forward. Just like the snail's foot and the slippery mucus help the snail to move forward. But to understand how the foot and the mucus work together, I think we should use one of my special cameras. Chris has put a garden snail on a clear sheet, and I've attached this to my special camera. It's called a probe lens, and it's going to help us see underneath the snail's foot in more detail. Okay, Chris. Wow, that is all of the mucus. And I can see it there. Whoa. It makes the surface slippery, so it's easier for the snail to glide along. This is incredible. But a snail needs more than mucus to move. Can you see the snail's body ripples as it moves forward? Those ripples are the snail's muscles working to help it move. The snail is squeezing and relaxing its muscles over and over. Wow, this was incredible. Thank you, Chris. It's time to put the snail back where he found it. That was brilliant. I loved finding out about how snails move. What was your favourite part? Can you remember the name of the flat part of the snail? That's right, it's called a foot. Do you remember the sound my feet made in the mud? And did you see the waves the snail's muscles made on my special camera? Seeing how a
snail moves was really interesting. When we move along different surfaces, we need different things to help us.
On water, we need to use a boat. When we go ice skating, we wear ice skates.
And when we want to get across a big field, we might use a tractor. But do you know how a tractor is made? Let's find out.
How is it made?
Tractor!
To find out how tractors are made, I've come here to a tractor factory. Wow, there are so many machines here. It is really busy. And can you believe they make a tractor every 4 minutes?
That's the same as 15 tractors every hour. Tractors do lots of clever jobs. Some pull big ploughs to get the fields ready for planting seeds. This tractor helps to collect potatoes. Look at this tractor. It's lifting up recycling bins.
Today at the factory are making a huge blue tractor just like this one.
Wow, look at the size of it. And look how big those wheels are. They're massive. But how do they make a tractor that's this big?
The first part we need to make a tractor is this. It's called a transmission. A transmission makes sure the right amount of power goes to the wheels so the tractor can move faster or slower.
But the transmission is really heavy, so they use a crane to lift it up and put it on one of these.
It's called an AGV, an auto-guided vehicle. It's controlled by a computer and moves around automatically. It drives itself.
Off it goes. There are lots and lots of AGVs carrying things around the factory.
Can you see the orange flashing lights? They are to warn people that it's moving. They look so funny moving around by themselves. The transmission is brought to this bay where an engine is fitted to it and it slides on perfectly. This is the next part to be fitted. It's called a front axle. You see, it's got 2 metal discs. 1, 2. What do you think this might be used for? That's right, it's where the wheels are going to be attached.
The front and back axles are then connected to the engine and transmission, and altogether, it's now called the chassis. This is the base of the tractor.
The chassis gets lifted up onto this huge line of moving chassis. It's like a fun ride, but for tractor parts. I'm going to call it a chassis coaster.
So we can take a ride on the chassis coaster. Sue is attaching one of my special time-lapse cameras so we can see what happens really quickly. Ready to go? Whoa! Look how big this factory is. It's huge. Can you see the people working on the chassis? They're fitting parts to help the engine move the wheels. The chassis coaster has stopped, and now we're off again. There's over 3,000 parts in a tractor that need to be added.
A tractor is used to pull and lift really heavy things. And to do that, this part is added. It's called a front linkage, and it helps the tractor to lift things at the front.
This linkage connects to forks to help the tractor lift big bales of hay.
Next, the chassis queue up here, ready to get spray painted by robots. Paint comes in through pipes and up to a spray gun at the end of the robot's arm. Can you see how quickly they're working?
The robots are painting the first coat. It's called primer.
Look at the robots. It's like they're doing some kind of dance. Can you dance like a robot?
The primer takes 2 hours to dry and go hard inside this big oven. Then the chassis gets painted again. It's called the top coat.
And the top coat is electromagnetically charged, which means it works a bit like a magnet. The paint is attracted to the metal of the chassis and it sticks.
This makes the top coat of paint really tough.
How clever is that?
After another visit to the oven to dry the top coat, the chassis moves on to the assembly line. And one of my special cameras has been attached, so we can take it for another ride. Look, now they're adding lots of electrical wires to the chassis. They'll help the tractor parts work together. It's like a giant 3D jigsaw puzzle.
The chassis is now ready for the exciting part, the tractor cabs.
This is where the driver sits.
Wow, the cab is lowered onto the chassis and then it's fixed in place using bolts. It's enormous.
It's really starting to look like a tractor now. And here's the bonnet. That will cover the engine. Finally, it's time for the wheels. And it's Daniel's job to fix them in place using large bolts. Doesn't it make a great sound? And now the wheels are on, the tractor is ready.
Wow, look at that! A finished blue tractor. That was amazing. I loved finding out how a tractor is made. What was your favourite part?
Can you remember the name of the base of the tractor? That's right, it's called the chassis. Did you hear the drilling sound when the wheels were fixed on? And did you see lots of people adding parts to the chassis when we rode the chassis coaster? Whoa!
So the next time you see a tractor moving around with its huge wheels, you'll know how it was made. And now you know how a snail moves along the ground. I'll see you next time. Hello, I'm Maddie, and today I'm cleaning the windows at home. Okay, that looks great. With my little step, I can reach the top of the window safely. But how do you think we clean the windows on a really, really tall building? Like this one. Wow! That is really high. I'd need something much taller than my little step to reach the windows at the very top.
Something like this. Look how high it is.
That is a window cleaning cradle. But how does the window cleaning cradle get all the way up there, and how does it help the window cleaners? Do you know how a window cleaning cradle works? Let's find out.
How does it work?
Window cleaning cradle.
Can you guess where I am? That's right, I'm on the roof of the building. You must never go onto a roof of a building without a grown-up, but I've got special permission to be up here. This is where the window cleaning cradle is kept, and the window cleaner will stand in there when they're cleaning windows.
And can you see the ropes? They're made of metal and hold the cradle safely in the air. We call them cables.
The cables are attached to a crane. This is called a telescopic jib arm, and it's so strong it can lift 2,000 kilograms.
That's about the same weight as a young white rhino.
But the cradle, the cables, and the telescopic jib arm all work together, a bit like an arm. They can pick things up, put things down, and it can pivot, it can move from right to left. And the telescopic jib arm can also get shorter and longer. The telescopic jib arm uses something called hydraulics. When oil is poured into the hydraulics, it pushes a cylinder out, and this makes the arm longer. When that oil is let out again, it pulls the cylinder back in, making the arm shorter.
And to move the window cleaning cradle from left to right so it can clean all the windows, it uses tracks.
Can you think of something else that moves on tracks?
That's right, a train.
But to find out how the window cleaning cradle and the crane that moves along the tracks work together so that a window cleaner can reach all the windows, I think we need to take a closer look.
Inside the crane is a winch, which is fixed to the window cleaning cradle by metal cables. The window cleaner presses a button, which makes the winch turn, winding the long metal cable onto it. and lifting the window cleaning cradle off the ground. The crane turns and the window cleaner presses another button, so oil flows into the hydraulics. The telescopic jib arm moves out, and the window cleaning cradle moves out with it. Another button unwinds the metal cable, lowering the window cleaning cradle, so the window cleaner can start to clean. When one line of windows is clean, the winch winds the cable up, lifting the window cleaning cradle back to the top. The crane moves along tracks, and the window cleaning cradle is lowered, and the next line of windows are cleaned. And this happens over and over until all the windows are sparkling clean.
Wow, that was so interesting. I think we should see it for real using my special cameras.
And today I'm using 4 special cameras. One on the telescopic jib arm, another looking at the tracks, one on the side, and one on my head, so you can see what I see.
This is Bill. He's a window cleaning cradle operator, and he's given me special permission to go inside the cradle as he cleans the windows.
And I'm wearing a special harness and yellow jacket to keep me safe when the cradle moves.
The telescopic jib arm is now pivoting, taking us over the edge of the building.
Look, can you see the hydraulic arm pushing the cradle out?
Wow. We are so high up.
And when we're in position, it's time to go down.
Bye! The winch is unwinding the cable, which is lowering the window cleaning cradle down to the floors below. Now the cradle's been lowered to the right position, Bill can clean the windows.
Great job, Bill.
This window is now nice and clean, but we've still got to clean the rest of the windows around the building.
So we have to go back up to the top.
And now the tracks can move us left and right. Can you hear that sound? That's the crane telling us that it's moving. Oh, here we go. Bye! That was brilliant! I loved finding out how a window cleaning cradle works. What was your favourite part?
Do you remember the name of the metal ropes that carry the window cleaning cradle? That's right, we call them cables. Did you hear the sound the crane made when it moved along the tracks? And did you see my 4 special cameras when they filmed Bill and I cleaning the windows?
When it's really sunny, tall buildings like this one and all of those cast big dark shapes. They're called shadows, but you don't need to be as tall as a skyscraper to have a shadow. We make shadows too. You can make different shapes. But do you know how a shadow's made? Let's find out.
How is it made?
Shadow.
Hello, Maddie. Have you ever made shadow puppets with your hands before? It's really fun, isn't it? Isn't that right, dog? Yes. And all you need is a lamp like this one and a flat blank wall. When I put my hand in front of the lamp, my hand blocks some of the light coming from it, and it makes this patch of darkness on the wall. And this patch of darkness is my shadow. But what's happening to make my shadow? Light travels in a straight line, but when light can't pass through an object like my hand, it makes a shadow. We call things that you can't see through opaque. But what do you think will happen if we try this again with something you can see through, like bubbles?
Can you see? My hand and the bubble wand are creating a shadow, but we can see through the bubble. We call this transparent.
We can see the outline of the bubble as a shadow, can't we? That's because it's made of a thin layer of water and soap, which stops some of the light.
But did you know shadows can change shape depending where the light and the object are?
What do you think will happen if I move my hand closer to the wall and further away from the light? The shadow gets smaller, and that's because the further away an object is from the light, the less light it blocks out. So, what do you think will happen if I move my hand closer to the light? Do you think the shadow will get bigger or smaller? Let's see.
That's right, it gets bigger.
And that's because the closer the object is to the light, the more light it blocks out. Shadows can also change size and shape if the light moves. To show you, I'm going to need my assistant, Mini Maddie, and a torch. So, right now, the light is quite high above Mini Maddie, and can you see she's making a short shadow? That's because the light is only hitting the top part of her body. She's not blocking much of the light. But watch what happens if I move the light down. Whoop. Now her shadow is much longer. That's because more of her body is blocking the light, so she's making a longer shadow.
Can you see? As I lower the light, the shadow gets longer. And as I bring it higher, it gets shorter.
But I want to see what will happen if I try to make shadows with a much bigger light.
Like the sun.
We should never look directly at the sun because it can hurt our eyes, but we can look at the shadows that it makes. And look, here is my shadow right there. And look, if I dance, my shadow dances too. Listen to the sound my feet are making on the gravel. The light has travelled nearly 100 million miles from space. That's a really, really long way. And on that long journey, nothing has got in the way of the light till it reached this garden, when I got in the way and have made this shadow.
But our planet, planet Earth, is always moving, so our shadows change their size and shape. And to show you what this looks like, I'm going to use my special time-lapse camera.
It lets me film things that take a really long time, but when we watch it back, it will look as if it's happening much quicker. I'm going to point the camera this way so we can see how the shadows being cast by the house and the toys in the garden change throughout the day. It's recording.
Look, there's the shadow the house is making. And can you see it moving? Oh wait, the shadow from the house has gone away. That's because clouds in the sky are stopping the light from the sun reaching the earth. They're making really big shadows because they are closer to the sun. Only when the clouds move can the light from the sun reach the garden, so the house can make more shadows. And look, on this time lapse, there aren't any clouds. You can see the shadows getting smaller. Rocks behind the camera are blocking the sunlight, which makes a shadow. But as the Earth moves, more light hits the floor and not the rocks, so the shadows get shorter.
Isn't that amazing? As the Earth turns, time passes and the sun moves across the sky, and that's why shadows change size and shape. We loved finding out how shadows are made. What was your favourite bit?
Do you remember what we call things that light can't travel through? That's right, we say they are opaque. Did you hear the sound of my feet as my shadow and I danced on the gravel? And on my special time-lapse camera, did you see the shadow of the house move as the Earth turned?
So the next time you're out for a walk and you see your shadow, you'll know how it's made by blocking out the light from the sun. And the next time you see someone high up in a building cleaning windows, you'll know how the window cleaning cradle works to help them clean the window safely. Right, I'm off to clean some more windows. I'll see you next time.
There are lots of things